good evening, everyone. Good morning, wherever you are joined in. We'll stick with the time schedule because that is very important to us. We'll just like to introduce ourselves first. Let's start with the guests. Mr. Omer.
Yeah, my name is Omar Ibrahim. I am living in UK, but we have farm in Ghana.
Okay, you would like to share, like, how are you interested in the program? What you are expecting from the program? Like, what do you want to understand from the program?
Yeah, many things, but the organic is very important. Organic fertilizers, and have to treat the plants, the farm from the insects and so on. If
Okay,
you can use any organic medicines or something,
okay,
or
great.
flies. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you mentioned that you have a plot of land where you have already grown something. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, yeah. We have a mango farm and pineapple farm.
Okay,
So
great.
we have problem with mango when
Uh-huh.
the mango starts ripening.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of insects or flies is coming, and we
Uh-huh.
spray
Uh-huh.
with medicines and so. So we don't want to do that
Uh-huh.
because it can be dangerous.
Okay,
Mm.
great. So your inclination is towards why are the flies coming, and if they are coming, what can we do? So yours is why
Yes,
something is happening and why what we can do to solve it.
yes, of course, yeah.
Great, great. Okay, so my expertise with gardening started out with like maybe 10 years ago. I'll just give a brief introduction of myself and then I'll go to the next guest. Um, See, gardening was very passionate and close to me. I started with planting small trees and small shrubs and small uh, things in the spot. But then we also had some land in our ancestral place. It was about 10 acres of land, and we also have mangoes there. About 1 acre is mangoes. The others is coconut trees and empty plots where we can grow a lot of things. So the passion was there from before because we had ancestral land. We had land that was transferred to us from the grandfather to the father, like that. So I was very keen to grow something, and I always loved to watch plants grow, and it was something very passionate to me. So for the last 10 to 12 years, I've been teaching organic farming and also learning organic farming, teaching and learning together, seeing various types of people doing it and sharing my produce also online. So, in other words, I have always focused on how to make farming better without any inputs that are artificial. So, this is my like passion also now. Especially, it's become very important to be and to stay organic because that's how the land was originally, and that's why we need to keep it that way. So, yeah, I'll keep on going to introduce myself, my work also as we go along. I'll just let our other guests. Uh, Jignaji, can you come on camera? I wish everyone should come on camera because that would be like very conversant of us. We'll be together like in a way. So can you describe where you joined, how you joined, and what you expect from this course?
मैं सिर्फ ये जानना चाहती हूँ कि ये क्या होता है? मेरे लिए ये फर्स्ट टाइम है पूरा कॉन्सेप्ट।
Okay.
तो सिर्फ
Okay.
एक जानकारी के लिए हूँ
Yes.
मैं।
Great. So आपके पास कोई लैंड या ऐसा कुछ एरिया है?
ना अभी फ़िलहाल तो नहीं है।
Okay. Okay. ठीक है. So is English conversant for you? It'll be okay with me speaking English? Great. Okay.
यस,
Yes, okay. Uh, Miss Anita ji, can you elaborate about you?
में आया था स्तुति में, उस
हाँ,
ग्रुप से मैंने ज्वाइन किया।
ओके, ठीक है, ठीक है। तो आपको भी कोई दिक्कत तो नहीं ना? मैं थोड़ा सा इंग्लिश ज्यादा लूंगा. We have guests from outside, so I'll maybe inclined to speak in English more. That's okay?
ओके,
Yeah, okay. ठीक है. तो without further ado, let's just start. Farming and gardening are almost both of them being the same thing. Almost it's like it's because of gardening we started to farm. So it's just about
यस, मैं पहले अभी आजकल हम लोग कर रहे हैं ऑर्गेनिक, मगर काफी जल्दी पेड़ मेरे खराब हो जाते हैं, कुछ कुछ कीड़े लग जाते हैं, तो समझ में नहीं आता तो कैसे संभालूं।
ओके, ग्रेट ग्रेट. हाँ हाँ, हम बस इसी सब चीजों में बात करेंगे, है ना?
हाँ,
तो मैं शुरुआत करता हूँ. मेरा प्रेजेंटेशन इज माय प्रेजेंटेशन विजिबल?
हम्म, ठीक है।
Yeah,
या
visibly.
Okay, great. this course is, as I said, it's about gardening, and more than that, once you start to know the gardening principles, that's when you'll start to appreciate farming. So basically, farming is like commercial scale, or plantations are commercial scales, but gardening is where we started out. You know, we had small plots of land where we are growing food for our own consumption, and that's how we started. You know, तो बीज से बीज की परंपरा जो है वो वहां पर स्थापित होती है. हम लोगों ने बीज की आवश्यकता की. We found out the seeds, and from those seeds we learned that by growing this particular seed we can get this particular kind of food. So that was the one thing that started civilization. So it's a very important thing that we started to do farming. Before that, we were like nomads. You know, wherever the food was, we started going and keeping and going there where the food was growing. So the seed was the first thing for the civilization to happen, because that allowed us to stay in one place, grow our own food, and for the cattle and for us, and we started to have a civilization because of the seed. Very important that we understand this, because we cannot have something without its source being developed. You know, we cannot have like iron today or copper or anything like that without the invention of fire. So everything is linked with fire, linked with everything else. We need to understand that. So in the first slides, we'll start to establish what is farming and what is gardening. Before that, let's just get into the session, what we will learn today. These are topics that I will cover today, and hopefully if I can cover them within the 1 hour that we have. But I think today I'll focus more on the why we need to garden, why we need to farm. These are the topics that we'll cover today. These are what to do to farm. You know, these are the how-tos. But why should we garden? That is the question. So we'll be focusing that today. Your goals can be to make a kitchen garden. Your goals can be to be a farming, you handle a farming. So these are the topics that we'll go through, but we'll start quickly. Learning about balance and normality. That's what we'll focus on today, right? What is farming? What is gardening? It is nothing but understanding the normal laws and rules of nature. That's all. You understand that, you are a great farmer. You are a great gardener. That's it. So you have to get this right. The second point, you have to get it right? And that's what we'll focus on today. Then we'll go to gardening tools, what kind of tools there are for gardening, and the materials you need for gardening, planning your gardening according to your climate and types of vegetables. Another important thing, you cannot just grow anything and everything at every place. So you need to understand which place you are according to which climatic conditions you are in, northern zone or the southern zone. And then on top of that, you also need to plan it that way that it's having an intermixing of crops, just like the forest, intermixing. You have to have a mixture of a lot of good plants together. That's how you will get to have a good organic farm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So as this slide is showing, rule number 1 of gardening, farming, or anything like that is an acceptance towards effort. Now, most of the time what happens is that when we are gardening, we are not accepting that we have to put effort into it. We have to go out, we have to start the weeding process. You know, some people might not have that acceptance. So what happens is you will not have a good experience with gardening. You will see results that are not according to your plan, because you have not put an effort in the garden. And gardening requires, or farming for that matter, also requires a lot of effort. So you have to be there with your hands and dirty your knees and bend down and go into the earth. That's how you do gardening. So rule number 1, if you want to do gardening or farming, you have to have your hands dirty. That's it. That's a rule that you have to start with. If you don't accept this rule, you will never become a good gardener. You never become a good farmer. So in the language of Swahili, unapaka uweze unaweza kuchukua njembe kwa mkono yako. You're supposed to take the plow in your hand and start plowing. If you're not used to that, if your wrist aches after a while or something like that, because the gardening is a process of, you know, using the spade and the de-weeder and all this kind of process. So you have to have that effort, inclination inside you. And आपके प्रति श्रम की स्वीकृति होनी चाहिए. That's the main reason of this gardening process. The second one is, what you know may be your limitation. आपकी जो जानकारी है वो आपकी ही limit हो सकती है. So by this I mean that if somebody is growing something and is growing very well, okay, and you start to say, okay, I want to have that same kind of output. So now you're limiting yourself according to that output because your neighbor is growing that thing. This happens all the time here in Kutch, where I'm taking the courses from right now in India. Somebody is growing pomegranate, the next farmer will also go pomegranate. And the next person will go pomegranate. Once there was a phase of people growing aloe vera. Now everybody started to grow aloe vera, and then aloe vera became a very full of supply. There's no market for it now, and everybody removed the aloe vera. Then they started with the mangoes. Then they started with the pomegranate. Just like that, you're going and doing something, and you're thinking that that's the right thing. That's your limitation. So you have to know everything. That's why doing something after understanding everything is important. You have to understand the laws of the sun, how the hemispheres of the southern and the northern appear together, and how they change when they are revolutioning the sun, and how it affects your farming practices, how the moon, the full moon and the new moon, how it affects your farming practices, and how you put the water on your garden. Because when you put water in the full moon and when you put water in the new moon, there's a difference. Understanding for something first before you do it, it's really important. I was talking about the moon, how it affects the earth's water supply system also. When the moon is near the earth, it's going in an elliptical circle. Yeah, so you have to understand that it's sometimes away from the earth and sometimes near the earth, sometimes away the earth and sometimes near the earth. That's how the full moon and the new moon appears. That's how sometimes you see in the sky the moon is bigger and sometimes the moon is smaller, because the moon is traveling near and further away to the earth. So we have to know all these things, and how the pests also help into agriculture, into farming and into gardening. They are indicators of something which is an imbalance. So we get to know all these kind of things. Yeah. So know your things. Beliefs can only make it worse for you, because beliefs are caused by anxiety. You will get anxiety. You just believe something. Let it rain today. Let's just pray for the rain. We are not planning for the rain to happen. We are not grown the tall trees on the edges of our farm so that the evaporation increases the chances of rain to come. Everybody wants a good plantation, a good farm, but nobody wants to catch the rainwater. Isn't that odd? When the rain comes into our farm, have we prepared it to catch the water? Have we prepared the microscopic holes that the earthworms create, so that the water comes and goes into their holes, and the earthworms also dig that soil for you? Have you prepared the earthworms? Have you fed the earthworms so that they make the holes when the rain comes? Have you make a pond inside your farm? Are we doing rainwater harvesting for even our own water consumption? The best water, according to Ayurveda, is said to be the rainwater. I mean, that is just written in the books, but now we agree with it. Pani hai wo uska, barish ka pani wo, that is the right thing. Rainwater is the right kind of water. We just agree with it. But do we accept it? This is a very important thing. We need to accept some truths. Just by merely agreeing with it is just like a cosmetic way of saying that you are on the same boat, but you're not. When you are aware that the rainwater is the best for your health, it increases your digestive capacity. Even in old age, you'll have good digestion because of the rainwater that you drink. And then you start to act now. You have not just agreed to it, but you accept it. Once you start accepting, you take action. That's the thing. The taking of action can be like putting a water tank on your terrace to collect the rainwater, making an underground water tank to collect the rainwater, having separate lines for the rainwater. This is in the house that we do. It's like when it's going to rain, we are just ready with our wiper to run on the terrace, clean up all the dirt which is there, and then switch over the water towards a filtration plant which catches the rainwater and fills up our tank. So we've dedicated a particular tank for the rain water harvest. And believe me, you can have water to drink for a whole year based on the collection of just 2 or 3 days. That's what we do. It rains here in Kutch. It's very less rain here. It's like a desert area that we live in. It probably would rain maximum of 10 days, even 15 days. That's like light showers, within which 2 or 3 days are the heavy rainfalls. That's when we collect that water. Can you imagine? So we are always alert when the water will come. We quickly go to the terrace, clean up the terrace, and then we realize, oh, the rain is gone away. That's how less the rain is here. But we keep on trying and keep on trying. There's some time and that we get that we have 2 or 3 days of good rain where we fill up all our tanks, and they work for the whole year. Drinking water for the whole year, free of charge, like ionized water, best for the health. So these are the things that you are not simply agreeing with it. Now you are taking action in it because you accepted the truth now. That's the thing we need to get to. So this all, by the way, comes by education, by taking this kind of seminars, that you get aware of the things that we are doing. So this 5-day course is just about that, getting to be aware and educate ourselves with a lot of rules and laws of nature, so that we can become one with the nature and laws. And then what happens is just synchronicity. There's just a sort of music that is happening because you expect the result. When you are ignorant, you will not know what is the result. But when you are educated, you will know the result. You will know that you will fall down if you put your feet on the wet ground there. You will slip because you know the law of gravity. If you don't know the laws, like children, they sometimes don't know the laws of gravity. They will put their legs somewhere and they'll slip and they'll fall and they'll start crying and they'll learn that way. So this is the place of being ignorance. You are just believing something that you put your foot there, nothing will happen. But if you know, you educated yourself about water and its properties with dirt and how it becomes slippery, and you know gravity and how gravity will make you fall. If your center of gravity is too high, it will make you fall easily. You have to make your center of gravity low, so you bend down and then you walk. So that's how you walk, you'll not fall down. So this is the way of educating yourself. This course is about educating your laws and rules of nature. Okay, the third rule is about getting to know the patience. So you have to be patient with gardening or with farming. Without patience, obviously there's nothing. In today's day and world of the mall, the mall culture, you go to the mall, where do we get potatoes from? You ask any kid today, where do we get the potatoes from? It's from the mall. Do peanuts grow on the trees or underground the trees? They say it sometimes it's on the trees. Do carrots grow on top of the tree or underground the tree? Do the carrots grow on top of the tree or in the underground? They will not know that. They sometimes the carrots just grow and hang out from the trees. That's the level of culture that we are separated with the earth, separated with production. Seeds are the simplest way we started civilization, and look where we have gotten. The new generation does not know anything about what had started our whole civilization in the first place. This is what we are placed at. Pineapples, do they grow on the tree or they are from is from a shrub which is on the ground? Sometimes they will think that there is a big pineapple tree. Kids are not aware of this. They think that everything grows on a tree. Every fruit is growing on a tree. So even pineapple is a fruit, so it must be growing on a tree, a big tree. Watermelons, sometimes they wonder, okay, watermelon is a big thing. So unless they see it, they will not believe it. So you have to educate yourself. You have to educate the children. I also do courses with kids. I go to schools to do that. So we have to be in the same way. Okay. Let me complete this rule number 3. 99% of startups fails because people buy more inventory as soon as they see sales. So it's like saying that, okay, we are doing good, we are getting good sales. Let's invest in inventory. Let's get the marketing people in. Let's get the sales people in and just do our production more and more. And the best way of getting production is to strengthen your roots, get to know your customers. So this is, I'm talking about sales. Same with the plants. If you say that you want more production from the plants, you have to focus on the soil. You have to give the soil the nutrients, because that's where all the things are being absorbed from. The air obviously is needed for planting and for the trees, but that's out there. It's free. You don't have to worry about it. Even water, it comes periodically for the trees as rain. So now what you have in your hands is the soil. So you have to be aware of what kind of soil you have before you start to garden or farm. So it's really important to understand that. You cannot have a very good big produce and you're just putting it into a small piece of soil like that. It's not possible. You need a cultured, full of bacteria and viruses and other, trees and plants, intermingling roots with each other, exchanging nutrients with each other. That's how the trees grow to have, flowering good fruits. And that's how you get to have a good harvest. Yeah, so that's really important. This last sentence is just a way of saying that manufacturing is in biology. When we say something is manufactured in some country, it doesn't exactly mean that manufacturing only happens in biology, because biology is the only one which combines the sunlight, the air, and the earth, which is basically dirt, and converts it into fruits and vegetables and a lot of variety of foods. That's where the manufacturing happens. Everything else that we do on the planet is just modification and combination. We take a bit of steel, we mix it with a little bit of plastic and a little bit of copper wires, and we make a car. That's what a car is, right? It's metal, plastic, and some sort of copper wires, and just you have this thing, car established. It's nothing more than that. We've just combined some things, and then we've just said it to be a car, and we said it's manufactured in France or manufactured in India or manufactured in Africa. It's not a matter of understanding, it's just a matter of labeling it right. So next time when you see the manufactured thing, always understand that only biology can manufacture something. Everything else is just a modification and combination of things. So that's just a small thing that I want to accept, that biology, if you understand biology, you'll have a really good magical experience with life, because that's where the magic is happening. Imagine sunlight mixed with water, mixed with earth, and you get pineapple juice, you get mango juice, you get apples, you get oranges. How is this possible? So this is the magic of biology. Yeah. So we'll just move on to the next slide now. This is a very small video I would like to show you. It's a comical video actually, but I would like you to experience and see this, every frame of it, very in deep detail, because it shows and summarizes what and why we are at this present position that we are in. Why the humanity is where it is right now. It's because of this small clip. Then I just thought it's very important to get this into our heads. Yeah. So I'll just play it now. So we started out with a toy which was working at 5 volts. This is a technical thing. And it started to do its work normally. It's grinding something that's getting power from the battery at 5 volts. At 10 volts, it started to do it fast. Okay. So that's what with the Industrial Revolution came along. Industrial Revolution started to use fertilizers and pesticides. Basically, these act on the plants and accelerate its process. So you can see that guy, the skeleton is doing faster and faster. And then we started to do more pesticides and more fertilizers into the farm. And ultimately, you saw at the end, when we reached the 30 voltage, the balance was not there between friction and harmony. There is a particular way where you can say there is a balance, when which the toy can work for years and years. The toy being us, by the way, that's what the skeleton means. The skeleton means that it's a human being. We are going to die one day. But we are, even if we are thinking that we are alive, what we are doing when we are alive is we are increasing the volume, or increasing the voltage, sorry. And when you increase the voltage at a particular stage, it comes that we have put so much pesticides and so many artificial fertilizers on our land, that now at the end, if you see, the result was the head split upon, and just the body scattered away. And the process was agriculture. He was doing this to the agriculture process, and the agriculture process took him away and flew him, and the person or the owner of the farm or the gardener has died. And he has died by an accident. He's not died a natural death. He has died by organ failure, which has become from the pesticide use or the fertilizer use, which are using artificially right now. So in the beginning, when it was 5 voltage or 10 voltage, we were already seeing that it was going faster. By the way, when this rule applies to nature also, if you absorb a lot of nutrients quickly, the nutrients are not replenished back into the earth. So when that soil is being given all those kind of nutrients, then you become dependent on those nutrients. And since you are not putting back whatever the earth needed as nutrients, you are selling your produce and it goes outside of your country. You're exporting your things. Before, when you used to garden, what happens is, you used to garden a small plot of land, you had a cow maybe, and all those waste which was from the peels of the pineapples or the mangoes or the carrots or the tomatoes, all those waste were given to the cow. And then the cow used to produce the manure as its feces and its unit defecation. That was manure, and that manure was put back into that same plot of land, and the circle was complete. Now, when you put it at 10 volts or 12 volts or 15 volts, what you have done is, now you have increased the radius. Now your produce is going outside the country. You're not getting back the peels. You're not getting back the mango seeds. They're all going outside. They're staying outside. So what will happen is, now your land is getting depleted and depleted and depleted. And so you have to put more and more artificial fertilizers and and because of that pests also come. You have to also put pesticides. So the soil becomes barren. That's why the pests are coming. This is what I'm trying to say. We need to understand that the pests only come to those plants or trees that do not need to survive. You know the law of survival of the fittest? So that means that law says that if you are fit to survive, you will be allowed to survive. If you are not fit to survive, then God, Allah will send these insects. These are all his workers coming in to kill your produce because your produce is not worthy to survive. That's what is happening when we are seeing that these insects are coming in our farm or in our yard. They're trying to normalize and kill those plants which are not able to carry forward the message of future of food. Like this earth is made for millions and millions of years to come, if not billions, millions and millions of years to come. And if the seed is not right, if the seed continues like that, if it's a sick seed, if that seed is susceptible to rot, the seed is not in the right proportion, the seed is not perfect to carry forward the genes, then that tree is killed literally by the insects and the pests and the viruses and the bacteria. But if that plant is strong, if it is healthy, it will create its own antibodies and it will push away the insects, the viruses and the flies. Or if that plant is strong, it will call upon its friends which are plants nearby and release some sort of messages to them to create an antidote for them, and those plants will flower that way around them. So the flowers will be, the insects will come on those flowers, they'll not hurt the tree. So we have to understand that nature is about a forest. Forest has a lot of different variety of things, and when there's a lot of different variety of things, each and everyone has a part to play, and in that way we are living in harmony. Right now even we can say that we are the only race on earth that is already a hybrid race in the sense that we have the genes which are connected with all other human beings. So there is no pure seed. Like from a seed, you can say from that seed you grow that seed, you will get that particular flower, and then that particular fruit will come to it, and you can continue from that fruit. You can take that seed and then grow it again, and you'll have a pure breed. That's what you can say as a pure breed. But the human being already is a mixed race. We have people from different cultures, different places coming together. As our ancestors were all from different places, and they all actually started out. If you come back millions and millions of years ago, I don't even think it's millions of years. It's about a couple of millions of years ago. Our ancestors all originated in Africa, right? So we are hybrid products of African origin. And now because we go on the north, we become white. We stay in the equator line, we stay black. And again on the south, where the sun is also less, we become white. And so we have this race problem going on now. Okay, this is a particular race or anything. We are all origins of Africa. And from that, we have just been hybrid, and we are going to places and we are getting our skin color changed because of that. But otherwise, human beings are just all human beings, one race, one persons, individual persons, but one family. That's the thing I want to share with you. So this video was showing was that people are just putting in more chemicals. This is happening already in India. It's starting to happen in Africa. They're starting to put pesticides and fertilizers. What will happen is ultimately those pesticides and viruses will die in your plot of land. Then you will become that person who has to put it artificially more and more and more and more, because you are killing the viruses and bacteria by putting these pesticides and viruses. And so you will also become the person who have to put it back. And imagine those viruses and bacteria are just small, very microscopic organisms, and they are in the millions and hundreds of billions in quantity. Even if you take a small handful of them in a handful of soil, there are millions and millions of bacteria and viruses there. Imagine you have to pay a million of workers. Can we pay a million workers? But when we give food to these microbes and bacteria and viruses, we are paying them. So we have to understand that the waste of the farm, or the waste of the green waste, as we said in the schools, that we have a green waste and a blue waste basket. So in the green waste, there is all the wet waste that we use, anything that is the peels or the food wastage or anything like that, leaves that are dry, we collect them and we put it in the green basket, so that we can use it back into the farm. So this is all the food for the microbes and the bacteria. Even in the forest, the leaves fall down and make a culture for bacteria and viruses to grow there. Small insects are surviving there because of the leaves. So the leaves are acting as food for the microbes and the bacteria, and that's what you need in your garden. That's what you need to, that kind of culture you need to develop in your garden or in your farm, that you feed the microbes, you feed the viruses, you feed the bacteria, and those bacteria and viruses will convert your soil, which is insoluble nutrients, into soluble nutrients. So like for example, copper is insoluble, right? And but plants need copper, plants need magnesium, plants need sulfur. Now we are killing those microbes and bacteria, and then we have to put artificial sulfur, artificial copper, artificial manganese. There'll be packets now for them also. But if we leave it to nature, if you leave it to bacteria and viruses, and if you feed those bacteria and viruses, they will convert the copper which is there in your soil right now. There is a particular amount of gold even in your land, in your garden or in your plot. Everywhere there is gold, everywhere there is silver, but it's just in a very small amount. So we don't start, mining in the back of our garden. It's not possible. We will just get maybe 0.001 gold or 0.001% of silver. So we cannot get any profit from it. But what I'm trying to say is there are all sort of nutrients everywhere. It's just that they are in insoluble form. And when these bacteria and viruses bring in biology, as I said, where the magic is happening is because of the biology. So biology means the bacteria and the viruses. When they come in the picture, that's when the magic happens. They convert the insoluble form into soluble form, and that's why, and that's how you get the produce that is full of micronutrients, and these nutrients go into the fruit, and that fruit becomes strong, the tree becomes strong because all the bacteria and viruses has helped it. So do you want to pay 1 million workers, or you just want to create an environment for the 1 million workers to stay? That's the point. So you need to understand that, right? So it's very important that we get it, that we have to feed the microbes and the viruses and the bacteria. Yeah. Capacity equals patience. This means that when we become bigger a person, or when we become stronger, we have to be more patient. And this is the same thing that happens with nature also. We can see that when we are seeing something grow, when its capacity is increased, its patience also increases in that way. So this is another characteristics that we'd like to cultivate in ourselves as human beings also. We need to have an ability to witness the reactions or the actions once we become big people, or once we become strong people, or once we become vibrant. That is the thing that we need to understand. The moment you get to be a big person, you should be also equally able to understand that there is patience that you need to give everyone. Yes, namaste, Dr. Saab. मैं कंटिन्यू करता हूँ स्लाइड्स को, ठीक है? Okay, so the more powerful you become, the more careful you have to be with it. So there's another point you have to understand. Sometimes we are thinking of profits, and sometimes we think that let's just get more out of this. That's how we will get more profits out of it. So the more responsible you are, it's depicted on how sensitive you are to the situation. So if you are becoming a big person in the sense that you are becoming a very, very resourceful person, that doesn't mean that you are becoming less patient. Sometimes the bosses are having this issue also. When they become a big leader, they start to lose the patience. So this should not happen with us. When we are gardening also, we should be very, very keen to the smallest of changes or the smallest of things. That's how nature wants it. If we are not careful with that, then we will lose everything in a go. It becomes a very big havoc to control all those things. So the bigger you become, the more acute your senses should be to the little things. That's the importance of you becoming and staying big. Otherwise, if you don't become sensitive to the small things, then the small things will ruin you. So this is the point I'm trying to make here. Anytime you see a good harvest or a big harvest, you also have to understand the reason of why this is happening and go into the detail. Don't leave it to belief. Don't leave it to things that, oh, we were lucky or something like that. Luck is, as they say, is 99% effort and 1% luck. So you cannot rely on luck as much. You are supposed to stay with the rules and regulations even more when you become a bigger person. So that's what I'm trying to say in this slide. As I said that this is a gardening slide, but I'm trying to cover some things that are very, very different. And I'm trying to create an environment for you so that you can understand what and how gardening is to be understood as. and not just the how to do it, how to garden to get more bigger produce, how to garden to get a produce that is not infected with the flies and all these things, kind of thing. We have to understand why is it happening. So this is why I'm trying to tackle this point today. Value is in the expression of coexistence. So by this I mean, when you are existing, it is because you are coexisting with something else. So like what that means is that we are alive because the trees are there, because the air is there, because the water is there. All these things are there. I'll just show you in the slide next that we are there because of the atmospheric air is there. We are called the earth, which is the biosphere, and the biosphere simply means the presence of three things, that is the earth, water, and the air. All these three things are the things that make us alive. If even one of them is removed, for example, if we remove the air, we need the air every second. Without air we cannot survive, so we have to have the air. And then we need the water. Even in a desert, you will see that they live around an oasis, or where there is place, there is some water. So that's another thing. We have to have water also, right? And then of course the earth where we are sitting on or we are standing on, we need the earth. So where this combination of three or all of these three things, it's called the biosphere, and the earth is presenting the most part of it. Of course, is 70% is water, but the rest of it is a biosphere where almost all three things are together, and that's where the human civilization has existed right now, right? So that is very important to understand. It's a complex life supporting system, and we need to understand the rules and laws of things, even if we start doing even any sort of business for that matter today, day and age. Because any business that we do harms the air or harms the water or harms the earth is actually a business that is going to perish one day or the other. Either the government will come in and stop you, or the nature will come and stop you. But if you are not in harmony with all these three things, any business that you do, if they are not in harmony with these three things, we will have an issue and we will face the problem, be it us or the next generation. So we have to be responsible for keeping all these three states into coexistence. So let's go back to the slide that I was trying to tell you. What is that harmony that we are talking about? Let me just mute this. So yeah, when both fulfill their utility and complementarity, this is called coexistence. So like hunger is a physical. Is it a physical thing that we are hungry? It's not physical. Can we say that this is hunger, this is the amount of hunger I have? Physically it's not possible, right? So hunger is an abstract reality, whereas food, food like any fruit or vegetable, it's a fruit, right? It's a physical reality. So when both of them come together, that's called coexistence. When the physical reality like a fruit and the abstract reality like hunger, they come together and they solve each other's problems, that's called coexistence. And this coexistence is known as harmony. This is what is harmony. We have to understand this, that food is there as a physical thing, but thirst is there as an abstract. So like water is there, a physical thing, it has no value, but when there is thirst, then those two come together and now suddenly the water is very valuable. So that's what the last sentence is saying. Value is the expression of coexistence. So if you are to increase the value of anything, you have to understand the abstract of it also. What is the abstract of that thing? And you can bring them together and you'll have a sort of harmony. So I always try to go to villages and try to understand what they are trying to have as problems in the villages. So there is a person who is having cows, and there is a person who is having a farm. Now those two people are enemies. Most villages which I've gone to in Africa, in East Africa, and even in India here, there is an issue with the foliage, like the grass, for example. A lot of land is being made into commercial land. A lot of land is taken over by the government. So there is no land for grazing the cows, So now there's an issue. There are so many people with cows, but they don't know where to get the food from. And then there are so many farmers with green waste, but they don't know where to get the fertilizer from. But when you bring them together, you will see that the cow manure, the cow urine, the cow defecations are actually food for the farmers to grow their produce. But they're not understanding that. So they become enemies. There is no harmony between them. There is fighting between them because there is a lack of knowledge of coexistence. So when they come together, they need to sit down and they need to understand it scientifically that the cows, when they defecate, there are microbes and bacteria in that waste that they have, the manure. There are millions and millions of bacteria and viruses. I'll give a small example. When we eat food, the next day we go to the washroom and we get it out of our system. That food has been converted from anything that is eaten, like peas, carrots, whatever it is we eat, and then that goes into a system. In 24 hours, it's converted into waste, and then it is thrown out of our system. Similarly, when a cow eats grass, right, it's basically going to eat the grass, and then it converts it into energy, and then it defecates it out the next day itself into blackish color manure, almost blackish grayish color manure, or feces, that we say it simply. So within 24 hours, what has happened? I mean, if we take the grass and we pile it up in one place, that grass will turn yellow, then a little bit brown, and then a little bit darker, like that. It will take months and months for it to decompose and turn to soil. But what happens inside the cow's stomach? Why does it take just 24 hours to convert it into fertilizer? So that is a process which happens in the stomachs of the cow. The cow has 5 stomachs, and we'll talk about it in the later slides. And those stomachs process that food or the grass that they eat, and it converts it into very soluble energy by the bacteria that are there in the gut of the cows, in the stomach of the cows. So there's a millions and billions of bacteria in the stomach of the cow, and they convert the cellulose and break it down into energy, and glucose, and then that glucose is absorbed by the cow's body system, and then it defecates the waste. Now that defecation has millions and millions of viruses and bacteria already. So that is how that manure is linked with the farmer. And that farmer actually needs those millions and millions of bacteria and viruses so that he can spread it on this farm, so that the bacteria and viruses also act on the natural soil which is there and convert those minerals that are there, which are in insoluble form, copper, manganese, as I mentioned, and converts it into fertilizer for you. And those fertilizers are absorbed by the plants as fruits, as the bark of the tree, or as the flowers of the tree. So this is how it happens. So you need to understand that there is a harmony between them. When is that harmony happening? When there is an understanding that the cows are equally important to the farmers who are growing the produce. So we need to bring a sort of harmony there. All right. So let's go to the next slide. It's almost just 7 minutes remaining, 8 minutes remaining. So I'll just take a couple of slides instead of rushing through it. We had a lot to cover today, but I think it's really important what I mentioned today. It's really important to get the basics right. It's like when you're going to the plan a big trip, you have to have the map ready. So this was like the map of what we are going to and how we are going to cover the whole topics. And once the map is in clear, you will not go back into saying, how are we doing this? How are we doing this? You have understood the why are we doing it, so the how becomes very easy for you. Until now, everything is just, if he's doing that, let me do it. How I can do it? By copying him. How I can do it? By copying him. But we don't know why are we doing something. So this is what we are trying to cover here. Why are we doing this? What we are doing? Why should we collect the rainwater in our farms? Why should we allow the earthworms to exist in our farms so that they can burrow in and make holes for you, so that when the rain comes, the rain goes into your system and goes into your farm, and then when there is no rain, that water stays as an aquifer, as a buffer for your plantation, so you don't need to water the plants all the time, and that water is absorbed up by the roots. Because if you keep on watering the plants all the time, the roots will have a shallow grip. But if you have microbes and bacteria and earthworms in your farm, then the roots will be able to burrow in deeper, because they create holes for the plants and trees to grow the roots in, because they're living down there. And once the earthworm goes down, it never comes back up into the same hole. It always comes back up in another hole. So when the earthworm is full and is eaten enough, it will go down and stay in the cold area. Once it gets hungry, it comes up again, it digs another hole, comes up again, starts to eat the leaves and foliage, all that things, and then goes down again with the third hole. And this keeps on digging and happening all the time, 24 hours. Have you ever seen a worker work for 24 hours? And you have to pay him like, an exponential amount. But these earthworms are your workers. They work for you for 24 hours. They keep on doing their things just because they want to survive. So your task is to give them food. Your task is to make a culture for them, an environment for them, so that they can survive easily. You just have to use green waste. You just have to use cow manure so that they can eat that waste which is there and convert it into soluble form of nutrients. Yeah, so I think we're getting into the rhythm now of how and why everything is existing in coexistence. We are existing because of the earthworms. We are existing because of the insects. If the bees are not there, Einstein predicted it will take a couple of months only, and the food process will all die out. Imagine. And this is already happening in India. There are the date trees, and for the date trees, the female trees have to be fertilized artificially, and that person actually gains about 5,000 to 10,000 rupees per day just to take the male pollen of the date tree and tie it up into a female date tree, and so that the pollen can go into the flowers. They literally take the pollen and then like literally spray it, like bees do. But now this is already a headache in India also. People have a lot of big farms here, date plantations, but they don't have bees, and those bees are the ones who are doing those pollination. So this is true. If we don't have the insects, if we don't have the bees, the whole system will collapse of food production. So we have to understand that all and everything is existing in coexistence, and we need to understand this so that we can understand the harmony in that. Yeah. So I think we'll take one more slide. There is no just action without knowledge. So I'm just like repeating, if we do a right action, it is only through knowledge that we will do it. I mean, we cannot go far with ignorance, or we cannot go far with luck, or we cannot go far with just trying to act as if we are some god gifted person, and we are just lucky in a way that we have everything. We will lose it once we are out of that zone of comfort. There is a buffer in every place. So what we are doing as farmers right now is using that buffer. So like, for example, when you put the pesticides and the chemicals, those earthworms die, and those viruses and bacteria die. Now when they are dying, their dead bodies are creating that fertilizer that the plants and trees absorb. And then when you put the fertilizer, you will see a very good harvest. You will get very happy, and you will think that this is the production of the fertilizer. But no, that is the production of the dead bodies of the earthworms and the bacteria which has happened there, because these chemicals are very hot in nature. Imagine they are based on salt. This fertilizer that we use, the urea fertilizer, nitrites or the nitrogen, the urea is full of nitrogen, so that is basically based on a salt, and that is actually given to the plants in the form, like they give it every couple of days later. So in the beginning you feel that you're getting a harvest, very big harvest, but then actually that is just the dead bodies decomposing, and then the plants are absorbing the nutrients, so you get a bigger harvest for that year. Next year there are no earthworms, so the next year the harvest becomes less, so you increase your fertilizer. And when you increase your fertilizer, the plants feel that their roots are not getting so deep because the earthworms have not dug the holes, the insects have not dug the holes, so the root system is very less. So the plant also does not get the micronutrients. So maybe the fruit is big because you have given the artificial nitrogen, but the fruits do not have the micronutrients. It does not have the amount of copper that is needed, the manganese that it is needed, the zinc that is needed. So we have children which are born with deficiencies. Even if you give a child good food today, good fruits today, that amount of fruit that you used to get from one cherry tomato or one plum in the 50 years ago when we didn't use the chemicals, you will have to give the child more. And that is just the outcome of what is happening right now. We have even reproduction problems happening today, where couples are not able to bear the children, because this is the amount of poison that is moving around in our body system already. Even the cow's milk is having these poisons moving around. So you think that giving a milk to the child is good, but you're actually giving a percentage of poisons to the child. This is the level of poison that is creeping, because the cows are eating the same grass that has been sprayed there on the outskirts of the farm, or they're eating the same maize corn that was sprayed with the pesticide, and the maize corn is just cut and given to the cows, and they're eating that same food with the pesticides, and that pesticides goes into the milk, and that milk is drunk by the human being, and that human being is also suffering from the poisonous effects of it. So we need to understand as farmers that we are the biggest people on this earth's survival. We need to be equally responsible, equally very, very keen eyes. Yeah, like you have to have the eyes very sharp towards your target. Otherwise, the whole system is anyways collapsing. In India, a lot of people are creating havoc because a lot of people are leaving farming. Nobody is even suggesting that the farmer should get a bride. This is the state of a farmer. If you are a farmer, you are possibly not being able to get a bride because you are looked upon as a person who is low class, or who is a worker class, or who is not, a city dweller or a person from the city. But we all need food. So how do you justify it? You're on one hand you are saying that you need the food, but on the one other hand, who is the producer, the farmer, the biggest contributor actually is considered to be a low class. So how is that going to solve? And you need food every day, probably even 3 to 4 times a day, but yet you put the farmer at a pedestal which is lower. So how does that work? Everything is not going to come from the malls. Somebody has to take the responsibility. So listening to all this kind of echoes in my mind and understanding all these kind of situations, this is the courses that I've started to design and to do, so that I can give awareness of what and reality we are heading at. And if we don't shift gears some way or the other, if we don't pull the right pulleys, we'll have a lot of problems in the future. It's really important to understand that. So we are close to the time. I mean, I also like to finish on time. We will continue with this slide. There is no just action without knowledge. Next tomorrow. In the meantime, does anybody else have to say or want to say something?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. I joined later, but
Okay.
Janak Bhai,
Yes.
you have given, these are very, as you said, we look at the agriculture as a law. Even in the village, in the Kutch, say example, there is a village called as Bidra, where I
Right.
stayed
Right.
for 2-3 years.
Right.
So I came to know that even in that whole that farmer community, Patel community,
Right.
they look at the farmers as a law. So their children, their sons were not getting married. The daughters were demanding that some cities or some shops should be there. So
Exactly.
they left their farms and they
Yeah.
came to the village road, in the main, the proper village, and they just put a shop just to show that we have a shop also and we have a home in the village, proper
Center.
village.
Right.
Now, this has created a havoc because the farms are now not looked after by them, so they are left to some other,
Yeah.
laborers. They have to pay more, and the because there is no labor. They are not doing any shram, so
Right.
they are also suffering.
Right.
Their ladies and everybody, and so
Yeah.
health is also gone down. The society has gone into economically they have to, competitiveness and everything has increased.
Right.
So now this basic knowledge which you are imparting,
Right.
and what, and how is okay,
Yeah.
but then why we are
Wow.
doing the
Right.
coexistence,
It's really important.
with everything, with the food chain. So
Yeah.
that is important that you are showing. So I
Yeah.
am happy, and I came late, but then if you put this link, I will see the missing part.
Very
And I
good.
would like to. I am seeing one Omar Bhai. Omar
Yes.
Bhai, please give your introduction also and
Yeah.
your feedback. Yeah, thank you.
You want to respond, Mr. Omar, or you want me to quickly? Okay, your voice I think is mute still. You'll have to click on the mic. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Jan.
Yes.
It was very valuable lecture, and
Yeah.
I am very, very happy.
Mhm.
Even though it's by nature we know some things is happening, now to remind us and how the ecosystem is working and how important it is.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, I'm in UK now, so I was
Yeah.
living in Sweden before, yeah. So people are drinking a lot of milk here, as you know that. But when you say that many pesticides is, people are now thinking what's called mass production.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big issue we have right now in the world.
Right.
You can eat a little bit, which is healthy. You
Mhm.
can live
Longer.
with, yeah, stronger.
Yeah.
But now you eat a lot of food, many of foods, but
Mm.
artificial made.
Right.
It is
Right.
very, very nice lecture what you are doing.
Right.
but
Thank you.
unfortunately, not a lot of people are attending. So
Yeah, I think it's a awareness call that I'm trying to break. Maybe the timing is also wrong here because
yeah,
everybody
yeah,
at work.
yeah.
So we are recording this and we'll see how much they comment on the other side, because a lot of people have said that I'll not be able to join. Please share the link. Please share the link. So they are probably waiting for me to post this lecture. But yes,
Mm.
that's my target. Like, I just want to have to do the right thing the right way, so that we can have a sort of at least an ignition. When the firing is wrong in a car, then the whole trip you will hear the car which is backfiring. Even if the car
Yeah.
is going at a speed, it will keep on backfiring. So you have to have the ignition timing right. So I'm trying to, even in the lecture that I did previously, I did cover some of the topics that I'm doing right now. I started out directly with what kind of garden you want to grow,
Mm.
what kind of budget you have, and then start what kind of seeds you need to buy and all that. I just started directly, the slides I showed in the first chapter. But now I said, let me give 3 slides which are completely not a topic according to the last workshop, but now they're really important, and they're the ones which are going to take it through the trip with ease. So that's my ambition to do this. And even I start to do it in schools here, and starting to do it in even in colleges that they needed to do this. But my motto is, and I just want to aware Mr. Chotelal Shah. He's an eye surgeon, and he was based in Mumbai, but now he's back to his village town, hometown, and he's linked with a lot of educational activities. We are good friends for many years, I think almost a decade now. And just like you, we started out with just a sort of friendship. And also to Mr. Shah, I just wanted to introduce to Mr. Omar. He is having some sort of, I think, is it 10 acres, I think, mango plantation?
25 acres.
25 acres, sorry. So mine is 10 acres. In my mind keeps on going that way.
Yeah.
So he is having 25 acres, and he's having mango plantations and also pineapples growing. So that is in Ghana, but he's living in UK. So this is the small introduction. So in case, because you will be gathered together for like the next 5 days, I thought just let me give you an introduction since there's nobody else. So yeah, I think we'll keep on continuing with the classes, and if there is no anything other further details, we can end the classes here, and we'll meet tomorrow at same time. If Mr. Omar, you are not able to come, I'll share the link.
Tomorrow I cannot.
Yes,
So
yes, no
okay.
problem. We'll share the link, and we'll try to continue with the same music and the same theme. We need to get this word out because it's really important. It affects everyone, especially the future generations. So right now, the generation that we are in, or example, we are the ones that are responsible to make the right choices, because the next generation will be just the ones which will be um, like experiencing what we will make the choice. So it's really important what we choices we make, because as the skeleton was moving around and around, everybody's in that skeleton stage. If we don't do the right voltage, we will just burn the motor, we'll just burn the toy, and then we'll just be thrown off the whole thing. So that is just, I wanted to remind you of how you need to be at the right stage, at the right voltage, and the right music to everything to exist in harmony. Yes. So it's nice to meet
If
you
it's
all again.
possible, tomorrow for recording for tomorrow's.
Yes, yes, I'll
Sure.
put it on. I'll share the link.
Okay.
Even this is recorded. We'll share this link
Okay.
also. If you want to go back to it, also you can do that.
Yeah. Thank you.
And
Thank you
yeah,
very much.
yeah. So we'll meet tomorrow, and
Okay.
hope you have a pleasant day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very